Hello, 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 and welcome everyone. Welcome to Own Your Mortality, Have a Conversation with Your Family series. I'm giving everyone a opportunity to log on. So happy Sunday. Making sure that you are also ensuring that there is someone that is visiting with you, a family, a friend. This is an environment for everybody. We'll give everyone a few minutes to get in, and then we'll definitely have an opportunity to introduce our amazing guest that we do have this Sunday as well, and get us started. Brittany, you are the lucky person to say, what are you eating for dinner today, if you are eating?
So I'm eating a combination of things. So last night I made chicken pesto
Yummy.
pasta. It was real good. And so I'm eating some leftovers of that, and I took some salmon out to, couple it with it.
Salmon is definitely on the menu. I think everybody that I spoke to today is definitely tapping in with some salmon.
Yes.
I'm gonna try to do some stuffed shrimp as well and some veggies to try to pair with it.
Ooh, that sounds good.
Get me through the week, because this will definitely probably be the only day that I'm cooking today. So
Girl,
that's honest for this week.
trying to make stuff for 2 days. Like this.
Absolutely, and kind of go from there. Welcome everybody as you guys filter in again. We're thanking you for joining us for our monthly live, our Own Your Mortality, Have a Conversation with Your Family series. This month's topic is Come Vote With Us. And specifically, we are talking about November 8th this year. So we have a very, very good program that is generated for you guys today. So I hope you're excited. Also hoping that everybody is able to see us. We are streaming live on both YouTube as well as Facebook. So I'm hoping that everything is connected. So please make sure that you are bringing everyone on, jumping on, so you don't miss anything. So we'll give you a few more seconds and then we're going to jump right into it. Don't want to take too much of your time on this wonderful Sunday. I know today is a combination of everyone working, as well as I know that it is a rest day for everyone as well.
Day too. The Eagles playing the Steelers.
The Eagles are playing. The Philly fans are going crazy. The Eagles did win today.
Against the Steelers? Oh,
yes.
They're going to give me problems up here.
let them know you always repping. You might not be home, but you're always repping. Sure. You're definitely always repping. Hello. Definitely make sure that you drop in the comments and let us know that you're in here as well. Also, let us know, what are you eating for Sunday dinner? Because we definitely have to make sure everyone is eating and getting into these good meals as well. But let's start it. Let's get started. I would be remiss again just to kind of give everyone a little update. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. If it is your time coming back, we do thank you for your continuous support. And we also hope that monthly you are getting something amazing from us. Simply just to, again, just let you know that having a conversation with your family, Sunday dinner at Granny's house was simply created in homage, paying respects to both of my grandmothers, the late Yᴏᴜᴜᴜ Johnson, as well as Elsie Callens, and simply reverting back to simply say that growing up, both of my grandparents or grandmothers ensured that family gathered, ensured that Sunday dinner, if no other time we were getting together, it was on Sundays, but it also created an opportunity for us as a family to gather. It also created an opportunity as our families to be able to come together and talk. If no other time you might have seen the family, it was on Sundays. If no other time you remembered to talk about some things that hadn't been talked about or needed to be talked about, it was going to happen at the comfort in Granny's house, and or at least of the comfort of gathering with families. So just kind of reverting back and encouraging everyone to kind of get back to the simple things and the basics. I know day to day, everything is a little different in our lives, but kind of just even making sure that we are taking the time for family. We are taking the time to gather and talk about a lot of things that are going on in the different day-to-day worlds or activities that we're not getting a chance to kind of share with each other. And in those factors, making sure that there are things that are, of course, resources and or some type of difficult things that we need to talk about with our families, that we're able to do so. So for today, we are circling back. Also thanking Brittany for joining us again. It has officially been a year since she has last been on live with us. And, you know, so many things have changed. I remember last year, this time, I was in Virginia traveling with one of my grandmothers, ensuring that she did have an opportunity to go back and visit home. So we're grateful for that. But I am also grateful to actually be in Philadelphia today and not be traveling. But I'm also going to also give Brittany an opportunity. She is relocated and in different places. So wherever we need to be, the blessing is because we have technology, we're able to reach out. Hello, Lula Boo. Thank you for joining us. And everyone else, just happy Sunday. Happy Sunday and blessings. So let's jumpstart. Let's talk about this amazing woman that we are sharing with you today. So we have with us today Mrs. Brittany Smalls. She plays a very, very important part in the community, and her team, which supports and partners with different organizations pertaining to grant funding, strategic planning, digital support, and a variety of different trainings that she provides into the community. Brittany previously has served as the president of Millennials in Action, leading the calls to increase voter turnout amongst Black millennials. As a founding member of the organization, Brittany served as a board member for 3 years prior to being selected as president. As president, she has led the field organizing, strategic planning, political consulting, and political action committee. Proud to her work as a full-time activist, Brittany spent 10 years in social services, where her roles spanned workforce development, community engagement, neighborhood adversity, veteran support, case management, housing insecurity, homelessness. Throughout these roles, she has utilized her expertise in grassroots organizing, experience to the help of the transformations of our neighborhoods across Philadelphia and the southwestern Pennsylvania. So if you can join me in welcoming Brittany Smalls here today, and also just thanking her for taking some time out of her busy, busy schedule. But we appreciate you. We thank you. We commend you for all of the things that you are doing in the community. But everybody, we're going to keep it straight and simple to the point with this. Myself and Brittany are coming today and calling to action and asking you to come and vote with us. We're asking you that on November the 8th, pertaining to Pennsylvania specifically, but also we do have some guests that are visiting us from other states, and we're encouraging you as well to get out and vote, but specifically tapping into our communities that we are working in near and dear and living in. We're asking you to come out and vote for us on November the 8th. So I first want to give, of course, Brittany the floor to just kind of welcome and kind of just jumpstart of what is important for her specifically for November the 8th of voting. But also we're going to tap in and kind of ask Brittany some specific questions about why it's important and why do we care if you come out and vote with us instead of staying in the house. So Brittany, how are you, and welcome.
Thank you for that warm welcome, sis. I'm excited to be joining this call today. You know, we always have a good time. We always vibe together. And so I'm looking for that same energy today. I've been doing this work a long time, but I'm excited because this is a very important, I say that every election, but you know, this is a very important election. Our democracy, our health concerns, everything is on the ballot this time around. That really, you know, we need to come out and participate.
Absolutely. So let's jump off the bat. Where does coming out to vote with us, or where does that pertain to owning your mortality? So owning your mortality, of course, is you living your best life. So in turn, you're going to die your best death. But one of the things that we shortchange ourselves of kind of pulling into the ranks of what's a part of living our best life, and thinking that, again, it doesn't have anything to do with some of these day-to-day decisions and choices that we're making. And we're here to tell you, to express to you that your vote is so important. Why is your vote so important? I know that we say that to the communities, and definitely the younger generation, and they're kind of looking at us with 5 different eyes going different ways. We're also experiencing sometimes where year to year we feel that our vote doesn't make a difference. But simply saying to you that consistency is key. We have to keep showing up, but then also as a community for us to take the time to have conversations like this and actually say, Why does your vote count? Why is going to vote being a part of owning your mortality on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah. It's when we think about access, when we think about sustainability, when we think about, just even the negative things, the gun violence in our community, we think about Roe versus Wade being overturned. And now with that being overturned, we definitely need to understand that we need good government within our states. So even more than ever, local elections play a major part in us even just having access over our own bodies. So, when you're voting, you're fighting for yourself. You are standing up against whatever you believe. Because I think everybody. The thing about it is what we have is the freedom of choice. So some people are in agreement with some of the things that are happening in our climate now that have been a detriment to particularly the Black community. And they have a right to believe what they believe. And they gotta, utilize. They have a right to go and vote for what they stand for. But I just think that sometimes we just gotta, look past, because we always want to say, oh, they don't do nothing for us. This doesn't. I don't see no changes. But do you understand what level each level of government, what they stand for, what they do, how they operate? You have to understand, and it's all about the education. So that's why these lives are so important, because we're able to educate each other on the importance of and understanding each position, so we can hold our elected officials accountable.
Absolutely. So if we just have to keep it really simple and say, so one, what are some of the basic things that people should be, of course, aware of about November the 8th? And then what are some things that people can ensure of how they don't run into problems, and or to definitely for us to talk about some key things about what are we actually going to be voting for. So first, let's just start off. What are 3 basic things that people need to know about voting on November the 8th?
You should know how you're going to vote, because
Okay.
there are several ways you can vote. As you know, I relocated, so I actually had to complete an absentee ballot because I won't be in Philadelphia to cast my ballot. So knowing how you're going to vote is going to be so important and critical for you on November 8th. There's also You can also vote by mail. Complete an application online. If you haven't done so, I would do it by the 1st. And then because you still have to receive the ballot back so that you can cast your vote by November 8th. Also, or you could just vote in person. Knowing where you're going to vote, there's a site in Philadelphia called Committee of 70. Put your address in, they'll tell you exactly where you go to vote in your polling locations and everything.
Okay. So making sure that you know how you're going to vote, whether it be in person and or by an absentee ballot, knowing where you're going to be voting, because that is definitely sometimes confusing for individuals.
Because and knowing if you're going to do a vote by mail application, you cannot vote in person at all.
Not vote in person at all.
Yes, at all.
Absolutely. And I know that those are definitely very important because, like you said, the changes. I've experienced, like you said, thinking that I was going to be out of town and getting a absentee ballot and then trying to go and vote in person. If in fact you are submitting that absentee ballot, that is something that is going to cause some mix up. And the last thing you want to do is be causing a mix up. Something else, like you said, is important, that understanding that typically, if I'm not mistaken, majority of the polls are open to 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. or is it 9 p.m. to 8 p.m. So even knowing that as long as you are at that location, as long as you are in line by 8 p.m., then you will have the right to vote. Yes. Making time, knowing that you do have the option to reach out to your employers depending on your schedule and express to them either I need some time to vote prior to coming into work and or leaving work a little bit early if that is a conflict of interest with your schedule. It is not an excuse about why you're not able to get out, and or like you said, that they are making things a lot more convenient. In order for you to use an absentee ballot, that does not mean that you have to be traveling or things like that. If it's still the pandemic and or there's different things going on. So if you still feel comfortable from voting from the comfortability of your home, you have that option as well. So making sure that you are familiar with those. So those 3 helpful things are very important for everyone to kind of know, ensuring that you are able to actually get out and vote on the 8th as well. Because the last thing that we want is that we're encouraging you to get out there. You get to these polls and then you're running into an instant. So today is October 30th. You have more than enough time. Also, of course, we'll make sure that you have our contact information so that if you're running any concerns, we can float you in the right direction. Definitely. So moving forward, when we get out here on November the 8th and we're talking to our communities, we're talking
one more thing. And access is important too in terms of transportation. So there are organizations that give rides to the polls if you need access in that way. And I can share that information with you so you can, publicize it so folks can know they'll have transportation if needed.
Absolutely. And make sure that you are making sure that you're staying in contact with myself and Brittany thereafter up until November the 8th. We will be updating and providing updated information live as to if there are any changes, like you said, different organizations. I even know that there are, I'm just tapping into the different community businesses that are in, a lot of different businesses in the community. They're providing rides. Your local funeral homes, you will be surprised, your local funeral homes, we are transporting you to the polls. So make sure that you're looking out for that information. Again, even utilize, if you family and friends, tap into them as well. Make this family gathering or event. I know that growing up, one of the reasons that I learned about voting is going to vote with my parents, setting that example. Parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, we are tapping into you. We're calling out to the community also these are the basic things that we can be showing our children, that we can be showing to the next generation to show the importance of getting involved and having a seat at the table. A lot of times we're not able to understand what is going on in our community or feel that we have no place and or that we're not mattering. And it's mainly because we're not in those different rooms and environments to make those things happen. Right. So fast forward about this. We want to know, why are we voting on November the 8th? So Brittany had a great opportunity. I don't know if you guys had an opportunity to see, but I did share. But Brittany did take the time this past week and released a video just kind of talking about some of the key points about why, like you said, before we kind of get, I know a lot of times politics for a lot of people can be overwhelming. It can be something that you're not necessarily knowledgeable about if you're not around individuals that speak about it. So again, that was the purpose of having this live today, to kind of just have some basic family talk and kind of just get to the understanding that why your vote matters. But then also for us to speak about, why is it important? What are we voting for on November 8th? What is it that changes in our households, in our families, in our lives, where it's important for us to show up? So if you can think of 5 things about why we need to vote on November the 8th, what would those be?
Well, I want to have control of my body, of course. So that's why I'm voting on November 8th. I want to see sustainable, because on the ballot is, our governor, our lieutenant governor, U.S. Senate, state rep, all like our state officials are on the ballot this term. And so I want to see people do their jobs. And I think that sometimes, how they say when you pay for something, you are more likely to utilize it and have access, like to you're more likely to participate. So it's like when you are voting, you are paying essentially your time and your effort. So it's just like, it's going to be more meaningful. So it's just more meaningful to know that I have a part to play in deciding who's going to represent me. So I'm going to always vote because of that. Another reason is that I'm tired of people dying in my city. Like, I'm tired of it. I'm tired. I want sustainable leadership. I want people to understand what's going on. It's not solely on us, like it is happening to us, but it's not solely on us. And they're trying to make us believe that. But we need leadership that's going to empower us. And I want to see that. I want to see those changes. Not saying that we don't have good leaders. We do have some good leaders, but we got to put more pressure on it. So I say that's 5, because I say I want to put more pressure, and then it's like I can put my money where my mouth is. It's like, I'm here. I voted. So listen,
I'm
That's
here.
where we at.
This is where we're at. And I think, like you said, the major thing, and I mean, we talk about this day in and day out of what else that we can do for our community. How else can we show up for our youth? How else can we be an example of what is going on? But simply just kind of say to you that this is how, like you said, we put our money where our mouth is. This is how we actually do our part to ensure. Again, we can't control what other people are doing. We can't ensure that, this will happen right away, but we can know that if we do our part ensuring that the leadership that we are voting in, ensuring that the leadership that is present and able to do things for us in the community outside of us making a difference in our communities day to day, is definitely very important. Like you said, that we have people in our leadership that represent us. The only way to have people in our representation that represent us is for us to be the ones to vote them in, and to be knowledgeable. Challenging you to say, again, this is where you start with the basics to kind of understand what's going on around you. It's no longer acceptable for us to say that we don't know, or who votes, or how is this going to affect our community. It affects our community drastically. It affects our everyday life, whether it be individually, our family, our friends. Just like you said, I mean, of course, we'd be remiss if we didn't ensure that we are talking about the importance of voting and how it affects the gun violence. We have been dealing with a huge amount of senseless gun violence here in Pennsylvania. And one of the major things, like you said, we keep asking, is it the parents? Is it this? Is it that? Is it this? And there's consistently always a pointing of the finger. And I think that, of course, this is a time to always kind of highlight, to say that yet and still, instead of us pointing the finger, yet we're coming together, we're sitting down and kind of putting some things on pieces of paper and say, actually, it's not one thing, it's all things. Yes, parenting is important, but also leadership that is actually being a voice and doing the work for our communities, changing some of the things that are in place, not taking away our rights that are within the community is something that's important. But more so, I believe that the purpose that we also are calling you guys in to vote with us on the 8th is encouraging more of us to be able to sit at the table and to represent our community. Being more of us that are the leaders that are coming in and being able to speak and, work on behalf of our communities, because we know what's going on in our communities. Something that I always commend, and I say that it wasn't until people such as you or other people that we see you. When we see you, we see us. And that's why it's important, or even again for you or myself, to call out to the communities and say, personally, we're not asking you to do something that we're not doing. We're actually asking you to join us. We're asking you to be a part of us. When we are all day on November the 8th encouraging you guys to go to the polls, we need you guys at the polls. We need you guys supporting these events that are happening in the community. Brittany has probably not slept in days. I know. I know. And we appreciate you. We appreciate you. And Brittany and her team and people as such literally are in the streets. They are knocking on the doors, and they are ensuring that we are understanding why we have to show up on the 8th and what exactly it is additionally doing for our community. So just to kind of also find out, outside of any questions and concerns that we will, of course, be getting, voting does matter. It definitely matters. Seeing some of the comments that are in the chat, voting does definitely matter. But we'll also give an opportunity, if you would say, just the last question, if you would say what is jumping out or what stands out to you this election, which is very important compared to some other elections that are kind of make and break, what would you say? Or what also about this election stands out to you specifically that is affecting our young generation?
Let me see. So, I do a lot of work with some. Shout out to PA Youth Votes. I do a lot of work with them on the college campuses and in the communities led by Angie Hitton. And I always ask young people, what are their concerns and how can they be addressed? And a lot of young people, honestly, they just want to be heard, and respected. I know that some and their opinion to be valued, and they make really solid points. Because I think that a lot of us be like, oh, these young, they don't like to be grouped in with the negative connotation that has been stamped on young people throughout. Because I know you work with some young people too and mentor some young people, and they are not the ones that's causing the trouble. So I just think that sometimes we have to kind of separate it and look at them as individuals, support them in ways where everybody has access, but understand that they are individuals and they're not just the youth, the Gen Z. You know what I mean? Because they're more free thinkers in this generation. And I think that they are the now. I think sometimes we kind of wait for young people, but they are our leaders. When we think about the Black Panthers and the movement and their leadership, they were like 18 and 19.
Years old.
18 and 19 years old, leading us, showing us the way. And if they did not lead in the way that they did, we probably wouldn't have seen the changes that we saw. So
Absolutely.
we have to start listening to our young people and understanding that they can lead us.
They can lead us. The new generation that can lead us, knowing that things are changing currently now, in reference to what is required and what is a process to kind of get started. So, with that, again, we're challenging you to own your mortality, which starts today. Each month, again, we are always bringing to you different topics and different experts as far as different things and conversations. We're challenging you today in your interaction at Sunday dinner with your family, your friends, on your social media, and any of those things between now and November the 8th. We're asking you to own your mortality. We're asking you to start today and join the movement, encouraging everyone around you to vote. We're asking you to ensure that everyone is showing up. And why is that important? Because we're actually voting for things that are affecting our everyday life. Again, this is not that we're voting and it's going to be some type of fairy tale. We're saying to you is to join us of taking the definitely necessary steps. This is how we can get out and make a difference. This is how things such as women or families are able to continue to keep things within homes and things like you said, to be able to have control over your own body. Currently, right now, if you are a woman, there is no reason that you should not be getting out and voting on November the 8th. Things such as that, like that is how serious it's coming down to for you to say that things are changing. What are you also voting for? You're voting for leadership that's ensuring that this pipeline to prison system from the schools to the prisons is changing in our communities. We are ensuring and saying that the gun violence, the guns that are being placed into our communities that are changing things for us. It's a thing. And it doesn't just go away if we don't show up, and that if we don't,
Right.
again, start with owning our mortality and starting today. I'm going to give Brittany, while they are, if you guys have any questions and or concerns, we would like you to share for them today. Of course, Brittany is a great resource for us. While any questions are being put in as well, I will give Brittany the opportunity to share where you can find her moving forward. Also to make sure that you're staying updated of any information pertaining to voting on November the 8th. I will allow her to definitely share that information with you as well. And I encourage you guys to jump in the comments and give us some questions.
Yes.
Peace on, Kathy. Thank you for joining us. Hey, Donna.
Well, I definitely want to take the opportunity to ask people to get involved. There's so many ways you can get involved. I got involved in politics in like 2012. I would say seriously, like I voted up until that point, but I started kind of learning my way and navigating through the political system. And I think that I want to see more people that look like me in this space, because there are people that are making decisions for us that don't necessarily understand where we come from and don't understand our concerns and don't care. And so, and then there's so many ways you can get involved. You can make phone calls if you can't leave your house. You can knock doors if you can. Use it as an exercise day. Get those steps in. Knock some doors. People are more a lot of people think that people are hesitant when you go to the door, because I've knocked doors myself too. And some people are really receptive to the information that you have to give and then don't really understand. So I would definitely encourage you to get involved in that way. You know, when I started as a volunteer, and now I have my own firm. I have contracts with, I used to work for this company, and now I have a contract with Black Voters Matter through my own company. And I have contracts with Planned Parenthood, and I have contracts with, several companies, just literally doing field work. Like, that's what we do. So I definitely would highly recommend more folks to get involved in this space, because it's not only, you don't have to be an elected official to be involved in politics or social justice. And we need
Absolutely.
more people in this realm.
Absolutely. And I think that, like you said, is very vital, encouraging people to get involved. So not only, of course, like you said, one of the ways that you can get involved is just starting off and saying, come out and vote with us on
Yeah.
November 8th. But as you heard Brittany say, there are so many other ways that you can be involved, and they're needed. Also for us, again, that we are taking a stand today to say, we want more of us sitting at the table. There's no way individuals such as Brittany or myself or other people in the community that are taking that chance to even just step forward and to be able to sit at these tables and to find out in representation. Again, you don't know what's going on into these rooms until you actually have enough courage to go into the rooms,
Yeah.
and for you to believe that you shouldn't be in the room, and not knowing that you actually should be in the room, and there are more and more requirements or needs for us to be in the room. So what do we do in reference to do that? Another question that I have, of course, to end out and even say that, and one of the things of ensuring, again, that we're always kind of keeping things together in this election, what is something that you feel that is, coming to interest with voting that is affecting, of course, living our best life and dying our best death? What are some of the things that are coming into play that they're voting on that's affecting estate planning, affecting our communities, our homes that we are losing when our loved ones pass away, the wills that are not being written, the different political statutes that are in place to ensure that our families are paying or not paying inheritance taxes and things of those sorts that we're not, again, familiar with. And yet, unfortunately, until we experience it, then it is, woe is me. Why is this happening to me or my family? And then not understanding that it's not just happening to you and your family. It's happening to every family, if in fact they're not aware of it. So what are some things that jumped out to you in this particular election with voting for some of our leadership that would affect things such as that within the community, of when we are losing these loved ones to this senseless violence, and then not being able to have life insurance thereafter, and being able to prepare our loved ones and or to work with the neighborhood funeral homes to be able to make arrangements for our loved ones that we don't have the funds and access to do?
Well, first I would say locally, that would be like the Register of Wills, City Council, but that election is next year, which is another important election coming up in May. But this year, I definitely think about our state reps sitting there. What they're doing is they're creating laws and they're passing them, and then we have our governor that's able to stamp it or veto it or whatever. And so I'm thinking that if you if we want to have some funding trickle down so that we can save, like, because right now there's a grant program to help people save their homes through, it was like the pandemic, it was like something through pandemic, whatever. I know I sent this to my mom, the application, because I'm like, everybody who got to own a house, I'm sending it to. Everything, if you own a house, I'm sending it to you. If you ain't behind, they can help you pay it. Any information I have, I always want to send it to people, no matter what it is. But
resources, because they're available and we don't know about them. So that is why we have to share, because it's a lot of people and things that we can do that our community, unfortunately, get into a lot of different circumstances.
Right.
Definitely.
If we didn't have this current administration, I mean, it's some folks up there that's fighting against certain things and resources that's happening in our community. Even our education system is ran by the state, and it should be like local. The school board should have, I forgot what the exact word is, but they don't have like ability to allocate the funds themselves. Like it's like the state is like their overseer of the funding that's disseminated to our schools and our community. And unfortunately, when we don't live or look a certain way, we get overlooked for, and that's why the schools look the way they look in our communities, and they got mold and everything. So also healthcare, um, insurance. When you think about that, all of those things play a part and is on the ballot because again, our state controls what's happening, and we are in the general election. We had a primary election prior to this that was in May that decided who was going to be the leading candidate, the primary election. So who was going to be the Democratic nominee, who was going to be the Republican nominee, and unfortunately, independent parties they don't vote in the primary election, so they just have a one election a year, and they vote on, of course, November 8th coming. So if your candidate that you're looking to see win, you would have to wait till November to, elect them. But yeah. So understanding that, I think I'm pretty much answered. Like I said, the governor is running, lieutenant governor, state representative, U.S. Senate. U.S. Senate is so important, right? Let me tell y'all, right? Our U.S. Senators that represent us are Pat Toomey and Tom. I think it was his name. Pat Toomey and Bob Casey. So Pat Toomey resigned, so that's why I was a seat, and that's the seat that Fetterman and uh, Dr. Oz is running for right now. They're trying to get that seat. Before it was like split. We had one Republican and one Democrat. It's so critical because if we're able to flip and have two Democratic representatives as U.S. senators, they go down. They'll be our, representatives in D.C. And so it will be more representation from the Democratic Party, and then there'll be more majority of the vote, so that we can see the changes that we want to see.
Yeah. So it looks like we have a good question that came up from Alexis, and it's asking, do we have any ideas on how to get young people who are eligible to vote to see the importance, not only registering to vote, but actually going to vote?
Yeah, I definitely think that peer to peer is always the most important because they could tend to listen to their friends versus the parents. And so that's why we have access to organizations like PAU Vote that are in several counties across Pennsylvania. We even have representation at Penn State and Lincoln and Cheney, so that young people would want to be more involved. You know what I mean? They have to have the support. You know what I mean?
They have to have the support, and I think tagging off of what you said, just making sure that it's no different. We have to meet them where they are.
Where they are.
Last year it was a privilege to be able to come and be a powerhouse and ensure, or I know that again today. So even things such as that, Alexis, like you said, going to these different events or hosting concerts, or kind of just also again bringing out the light, where a lot of times I know, even as myself younger, or even now with the younger generation, politics is considered to be boring, or because we don't know exactly what politics are. So like you said, even to hit it very basic, to say, okay, hey, voting affects you right where you're at in your home. Voting affects, like you said, stopping the gun violence that's going on, your friends and your family that's being affected by the senselessness. But even again, to say that making voting the next cool thing. I mean, that has been definitely the goal, or like you said, doing your part or my part, and simply say, I mean, at 36 years old, I mean, I don't know if I sound old, but yeah, I'm telling you to get out and vote. I'm telling you to come and vote. Like, that's a thing.
You're not old.
Like encouraging, like you said, even the children or youth.
You got to make it fun. Like, it's been a privilege to annually be at Powerhouse, because that's like the young people stopping ground, and talk to them about the upcoming election and getting them hype and amped up. I had some young people, you have some. I remember I I think it was 2020, I did like a concert at Front Nowney, and we had some artists there that were local artists from that particular community, and we only advertised like 3 days, and we had about 600 people show up for that event. And there was like a 10% increase in voting in that area just by us, putting that concert on there. So everything helps. Caravans. Again, like just making it popular. Bringing out some artists, giving some food. Little food truck. DJ out at the polls, like little polling parties and stuff like that. All that stuff, it plays a part. You can't just say, okay, we just gonna knock doors, or we just gonna do phone calls, or we just gonna do caravans. You gotta do it all.
You have to do it all. You have to do it all. And I definitely think so. Alexis, I hope that was to answer your questions. Does anyone else have any questions before we do wrap up today? I just want to take the time to thank everyone for getting on here today and making time during your Sunday. We are hoping that you are getting your Sunday meals together. If you have not, you should be preparing to get ready to have dinner with your family. We always try to catch you right before, so that all of the great things that we talk about prior to, we'd be remiss again if we don't say, when you get off this live today, we challenge you to take this information to your family. We challenge you to start the conversation at the dinner table today and simply ask, hey, are you going to vote on November the 8th? If they're looking at you like you're crazy, say, hey, are you going to vote with Amina and Brittany on November the 8th? So we ask you to tap in with us. We will definitely make sure that on November the 8th, all information is updated. Between now and November the 8th, we are asking you to please, if you are not, to please make sure that you are following Own Your Mortality on both Instagram and Facebook. We are asking that you are following Brittany _S_S. But then also outside of that, following Black Vote Matters, making sure that you're just tapping in your community around. We will be making sure that any community related updates that we are getting, of course, we're sharing with you. Also, all of our contact information, of course, is listed there as well, so that you can make sure that you tap in with us, so that there's no reason that you're not coming out to vote with us on November the 8th. So as we bid you a good evening this Sunday, again, please make sure that you're coming out to vote with us on November the 8th. Brittany, I thank you so much for you taking the time out of your schedule today.
Thank you.
You tons of love as you're wrapping up as well. But just know that we're going to the polls with you on November the 8th, and that we will continue, because like you said, it's not just November the 8th, but there are other elections that come after this that are just as important. So just know that you're always going to get from us the updates and making sure that you're being a part. And tune again, reminding you that this starts today. Owning Your Mortality starts today. Voting starts today. Us taking our communities back in our hands and making sure that we are making better decisions starts today. So make sure that you're liking, you're sharing, and that you're staying in contact with us. So happy Sunday. Have a good day, and make sure that you're getting out and you are voting on November the 8th with us. See you later, Brittany. Thank
you.
Love you.
Love you
Love you more.